Scary evil kids true horror story. They say that evil sometimes wears the shape of innocence. That the smallest smile can hide the deepest darkness. This story is not fiction, but I can't guarantee you'll believe every word. In one quiet town, children began behaving in ways no one could explain. Whispers circulated about their eyes, their laughter, their voices in empty rooms. Parents locked doors. Neighbors avoided them. But still they walked, and still they watched. You will hear what happened. You will wonder, could this be true? Could evil lie dormant in those we already trust? Stay with me, and fear what children might hide. The first signs. I moved into Amber Grove in the summer of 2018. The house was old and creaky, but cheap enough for me to afford while I settled in as a new teacher at the local elementary school. The town was small, so small that everyone knew everyone, and rumors traveled faster than the wind. I never paid much heed to the rumors. Until the children around me started changing. It began subtly. A girl in my first grade class, named Clara, would turn her head suddenly, her eyes fixed on something behind me. I asked her what she saw. She said, "He's there." I turned, nothing. Over time, more children behaved strangely. In recess, they would stand alone, staring at the tree line at the edge of the playground. If I approached, they would blink, as though waking from a trance, then deny they were doing anything unusual. One afternoon, a boy named Jason approached me after class. He asked, in a quiet voice, "Miss, do you like the wind when it whispers names?" I laughed nervously. Of course I like the wind. Sometimes, I answered. He nodded, as though satisfied. Then he whispered a name, Eloise. I froze. That was the name of my sister, who died when I was a child, someone only I could know. I asked him, "How do you know that name?" He shrugged, turned, and walked away. That night I lay in bed, staring at my ceiling. I remembered that my sister loved the wind too. She used to whisper to me its names. My heart pounded with unease. The next day, I arrived at school early. I found Clara alone in the empty classroom, kneeling by the window, chanting softly. They come. They call. They wait. Let us in. When she heard me, she looked up with blank eyes. Her lips twisted in a grin. You hear them too? She asked. I shook my head, backing up. She laughed, but not childish laughter. It was low, hollow. Rumors spread among parents. In the evenings, some reported seeing children standing at their windows, staring out even when they were asleep. Others claimed that their children woke screaming from nightmares about shadows crawling inside their rooms. Teachers whispered about shadows passing behind students, overheard voices in empty hallways, footsteps when no one should be there. I tried to investigate. I went to Clara's house to talk politely to her parents, to ask if anything had changed in the family. They were distant, distracted. They insisted she was fine, just an overactive imagination. But when I left, I heard her whisper from inside, "Miss, stay outside. We are safer that way." From then on, I kept my distance. But I watched. And I worried. The Circle of Children. By autumn, the behavior escalated. A small group of children, Clara, Jason, a girl named May, and two twins, Oliver and Ivy, began meeting after school behind the old oak grove outside town. No one saw them walking there, but they always arrived. Neighbors claimed they heard whispers in the woods, children calling names no one recognized. One witness said she saw 5 shadows form a circle in the dusk. Another heard laughter echoing when no child was nearby. I decided to follow them one evening. I hid in the shadows at the edge of the grove and watched as they gathered around a shallow pit, edges lined with broken sticks and stones. They held hands, their faces pale in the moonlight. They chanted in unison words I could not understand. The wind grew colder. The branches of the oak creaked like bones. Then, without warning, they dropped their hands. The lights flickered. A low hum grew in the air. The pit glowed faintly, as though lit from within. The children's eyes all turned toward me, in the darkness. Panic jolted through me. I stumbled backward, breaking a twig underfoot. They stopped chanting. The pit's glow faded. The children turned away, walking silently back toward town. I ran the moment I could, heart pounding, feet hurting, until I reached my car and drove away. The next day, the news was horrible. One of the children's parents, Mr. Stanton, reported their daughter May missing. She hadn't come home from school. The police said no traces were found. Her bedroom was untouched, her bed cold. The investigators found footprints going into the grove, but none coming out. May's disappearance sent shock across the town. Parents barricaded their doors, some withdrew their children from school. I warned the principal, if we don't close the school temporarily, more children might vanish. He refused. They said we were overreacting, that no one believed children were capable of such things. Then Oliver began to change. His face would contort in front of classmates, he would mutter foreign names under his breath. One morning, in class, he screamed, "Free us! Let us come!" The other children froze. His eyes shone black. Teachers pulled him away. That afternoon, Clara confronted me in the hallway. "You see them," she said. "You hear them whispering in your mind." She placed her small hand on my arm. "Cold. You will join them." She smiled. I stumbled away. At night, as I lay awake, I heard distant laughter. Footsteps outside my door. A soft tapping on the window. I stayed frozen, listening. A child's voice, barely above a whisper, "Come outside. We wait for you." I did not answer. The invitation. The night May vanished, everything tipped. Parents reported children sleepwalking into the woods. Some returned, eyes vacant, murmuring they call. Others did not. A pall fell over Amber Grove. I knew I had to act. I invited the remaining children, Clara, Jason, Oliver, Ivy, for a supervised evening at my house. I insisted their parents drop them off and pick them up. I told myself it was just for counseling, to talk, to find answers. They arrived at dusk. The sky was steel gray. I prepared simple games, snacks, and conversation. The children were quiet, somber. They sat together but rarely looked at me. Their eyes flicked to shadows near windows, as though seeing something beyond my walls. As the night deepened, Clara excused herself to use the restroom. I followed quietly and peered into the mirror that hung above the sink. Her reflection stood behind me, pale and still. I whirled. She wasn't there. My own reflection stared back, trembling. I exhaled. When I returned, Clara was sitting in the hall. She whispered, "Tonight is the night. They will come." I asked, "Who?" Her lips curved. "You will see." At midnight, the lights flickered and died. The house plunged into darkness. The children stood, hands raised toward the ceiling. Their whispering filled the room. At first gentle, then frenzied. Shadows moved across walls, as though crawling. The floorboards creaked. Wind blew through the rooms though no windows were open. I fumbled my phone for a flashlight. I shone it on the children. Their eyes glowed black. They chanted, "Open the door. Let them in." I backed away, knocking over chairs. The front door swung open on its own. A cold breeze extinguished the flashlight beam. Silence. Then footsteps, slow, soft, approaching the door. The children moved aside. From the darkness came silhouettes, tall, gaunt, faceless figures. I could make no detail, they were a shadow incarnate. The children bowed, beckoning them in. I ran to block the door, screaming. I grabbed Clara's arm. She looked into my eyes. In her voice, not her own, she raised one word, "Welcome." Then the front door slammed shut by itself. I dared not move. The entities hovered in the threshold, unmoving. The children knelt. Their whispers turned to laughter, hollow, cold, bone-dry. They repeated my sister's name, Eloise. 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 I closed my eyes, shut my ears. When I dared open again, the house was calm. The entities were gone. The children sat in their spots, breathing normally. The lights were back on. I screamed. I demanded explanations. The children stared. Then Clara stood and said, "You will come tonight." She walked out of the room. The others followed. In minutes they were gone. Their parents arrived soon after. The parents found the children standing outside in the empty yard, whispering to the wind. When asked where they had been, the children smiled, "We were everywhere." May was never found. Oliver and Ivy remain haunted, silent. Jason vanished 6 months later, after he asked the wind to tell his name. I resigned from the school. I left Amber Grove. But I never escaped. This is where the records end. No police report links my story to May's disappearance. No video, no physical evidence, only whispers, rumors, and frightened witnesses. People who knew the children deny anything unnatural happened. But I walked away with the weight of their eyes, and the memory of their chants. If you listen at night to the wind, perhaps you will hear names whispered. If shadows stretch across your walls unnaturally, do not dismiss them. And if a child asks, "Do you like the wind when it whispers names?" do not answer. Because once you answer, you are invited. This is the account I lived. Whether you believe it or not, there are places where innocence masks cruelty, and children, as pure as they seem, may sometimes be the ones who call the deepest darkness. Sleep well, if you can.